Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel. I'm Lindsay, the housewife historian, and this is for my new channel, Housewives 411. We have a guest tonight. I'm going to go ahead and bring her in next. Make sure that you guys give her a huge welcome. She's so sweet. We are so excited to talk Jeff Lewis Obsessed today. Make sure you guys welcome Jeff Lewis Obsessed. Tell us where we can find you and about you.
Hi, Lindsay. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing fabulous. Thank you so much for having me on. I love meeting other people that love Bravo like we do. And we also love Jeff Lewis also. So thank you so much. It's going to be so fun to talk about this with you.
Yes. Can you tell everyone where they can find you just so they know for next time?
Yeah. So I'm on every social media platform. I'm a little whore. So I'm on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Threads. Everything is under Jeff Lewis Obsessed. And soon I should also have a podcast backup on audio and video. And then I go live on Instagram and YouTube every day at 12 o'clock Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. And it's just a fun, interactive way to chat with others about the latest reality TV gossip. And of course, I recap and fan chat a little bit of the Jeff Lewis show.
Absolutely. You're killing it. Going live 5 days a week. Oh my gosh. Your subscribers and fans are blessed.
Aw.
For sure. So what can you tell us that has been going down lately with the OC? I mean, we're hearing all kinds of stuff about Shannon. Jeff Lewis made statements that Shannon was out with them the night before. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going down in the OC?
Yeah. So God bless Shannon. Unpopular opinion. Okay. Two things can be true. We can all hate the decision that Shannon Beador made that night to drunk drive, right? We can all also have empathy for what she's going through, what her three daughters must be going through. So when I say this, I'm going to have a little bit, some people and some fan accounts are just so like anti, she made a horrible decision. Let's face it, life is challenging. None of us are perfect. I have heard people, Kelly Dodd has admitted to having a DUI when she was younger. Her husband, Rick, admitted he had one. Her friend Asia has admitted it. I mean, so it's a horrible thing. We're all thankful that only she was hurt a little bit. Nobody else was. So thank goodness for that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Friday night, she was out with Jeff Lewis and his current boyfriend, Stu O'Keefe, for Stuart's birthday. So Jeff and Stu had driven down to Newport. They were having dinner with her and John Jansen and Taylor Armstrong and Taylor Armstrong's husband, John. So that was all fine. Jeff Lewis shared with us this week after this broke early morning, Monday morning. He said, wait, I actually asked her to come out with us in West Hollywood, which again is another hour and a half from Newport, just depending on traffic, to go out with other friends for Stuart's birthday also. And she said no, that she was staying in. That would have been the better option, right?
Yes. And then, we confirmed that she did get her DUI at 1:58 p.m. or a.m. I'm sorry, 1:58 Saturday night. So were they how far away from her boyfriend's house was she, do you think? Do we know?
So Kelly Dodd and Rick Leventhal have a YouTube channel, a YouTube show. They also have a Patreon. So even though I don't subscribe to their Patreon, I have what I call my Jeff Lewis sleuths that give me lots of detailed information. So she has shared basically where the accident happened and where John Jansen's house is just down the street. And then we now know that her new rental, because remember, she got out of that other rental that she was seen on this season of OC, because I think they weren't going to allow them to film there anymore, right? And plus her daughters were getting, they were all three going to be at college. I think she was downsizing a little bit and going through kind of empty nester syndrome.
For sure. I know that they did that with Bronwyn Burke. They stopped allowing her to film in their rental, and that was an issue for them.
Right. Yes. And clearly, Shannon Beador comes from money, right? She's like, I grew up on boats,
Yes, she did.
So
she didn't say that.
So, but she still needs to make a living. We never really understood. And I actually think, don't you remember, was it sealed? Like they couldn't even discuss what she got from the divorce from David Beador.
Oh my gosh, you know what? You are so right. There was some sort of like speculation and secrecy with what she was getting from him. And I don't remember what it turned out to be, but wasn't it disclosed eventually? Do we know?
I don't think I ever heard. What I did hear, I think, is that it was one lump sum. I don't believe it was like, you get 30,000 a month for the 3 kids, whatever. But, we're not even sure how much the daughters were seeing David Beador, right? Because remember, not even that long ago, she happened to run into David Beador at the Quiet Woman, and she said, "Get over here. Let's take a picture together. The girls will be so happy." And she posted that on Instagram. Of course, everyone went crazy. And then he was going through his other divorce or whatever he's got going on with his wife, Leslie, the divorce, the filings, the unfilings. It's all very Kim and Croy, right?
I know.
Yeah.
I know. My lighting is so terrible. I cannot get my ring light to work. I feel so terrible. Usually
That's
I have
okay.
no issues. So I'm like, it's totally dark, but maybe it'll start working just randomly. That would be amazing. I'm like, I have 10 cords, 5 different plugs, 2 extension cords. I'm like, is it my outlet? Like, what is it at this point?
It is what it is. Technology is never my friend.
I know, right? I wanted to ask you also, I was telling my audience that like Shannon, there was something behind production where they kind of broke the fourth wall a little bit during the OC this year. Do you know what I'm talking about? There was a scene where she's speaking to production. She's telling them like, this can never come out. Do you know what she was talking about? Or
so there's a lot of speculation. A lot of the girls are talking about she makes these drunk phone calls to them and she complains about John Jansen to them. And then when they try to have like honest conversations with her the next day, she acts like she doesn't remember anything she says. So I think it's one of those cases that a lot of us have had. I've had personal experience with this where, the girlfriend calls you and they bitch and moan about their boyfriend or husband, and then they get back together with them. And if you bring that information up, all of a sudden you're the bad guy. When you're just looking out for them and they're just all looking out for Shannon. They're really legitimately, I think I don't know. I haven't heard any physical abuse allegations. I just think they say it's so toxic. Like maybe he's a great guy, maybe she's a great girl, but together they're just a bombshell and not good together.
I thought the same exact thing because there's like some people that like if there's not any physical abuse going on, like why are you up till 2 o'clock in the morning drinking? Unless if you guys are in some sort of like dysfunctional like trauma bond. Because I feel like Newport Beach style, like nobody wants to be alone in Newport Beach because everyone goes places as couples, like Rick and Kelly and Vicky and her boyfriend and Shannon and John and Jeff and his Stu. So I feel like she's terrified to be alone.
Well, and clearly, I mean, she was with David Beador for so long. We know when she came on OC, we now know they were already living in separate bedrooms. They were faking it till they make it. You know what I mean? Their marriage was gone years before the actual divorce.
Oh, I know. That was really sad to watch. I even said that. I was like, I don't know if she ever would have divorced him if he wouldn't have pursued it. And I always got a weird vibe from him. What did you think of him as like a whole? What do you think of him?
I mean, let's be clear, Lindsay. He's hot AF. I mean, my God, he's so tan. Even the deep wrinkles in his forehead, his crystal blue baby eyes. But is he an asshole? Absolutely. Oh my God, such an asshole.
That is so funny. I know. And he was like, now he's getting divorced from his next wife. And Shannon said that her and him started their business like out of their garage. Like they made their first million together. So she was entitled to a significant portion, I would think, according to California law, but we don't know for sure what she got. But she's been with John for about how long do you think now? Like 5 years?
No, I don't think it's been 5. I would have to think about it. I would say 3-ish, 3.5-ish, but I could be losing track of time for sure.
Do you know a lot about him and like his children? Because I remember an incident where he was like drunk at a golf course or something, and that story got buried so quick, like so quick. Do you remember anything about Hey, do you know much about John?
I vaguely remember that. So when I was at BravoCon, somebody's asking about her facelift or her portrait she hated. She looked like Ernest Borgnine in that portrait. So I guess at BravoCon 2022, Shannon Beador had a booth at the selling area. And John Jansen was there by himself because, you know, all the Bravo celebrities had like these time slots that they would say that they would be there to like take pictures and see their fans and stuff. So when I waited for her, he got out of the way of the picture. And I was like, no, John, I want you in the picture. So there's a picture of me with Shannon Beador on one side and John Jansen on the other, all smiles at BravoCon last year.
No way.
Don't think I'm going to get that same opportunity at BravoCon 2023.
Oh my gosh, that is so crazy. I can't believe that. What did you think of him when you met him in person? Did he seem like a nice guy? Like, what did you think?
So I had been watching him because I was at Chef Stu and Amy Phillips' booth for their cookbook, which is right here. Actually, Cook It, Spill It, Throw It. I adore both of them. This is a great, fun cookbook that they wrote together during COVID. And it's got all sorts of like housewives recipes in there. But the funny part is the pictures and the stories that Amy Phillips wrote to go along with it. They're really hilarious.
I bet. That's so cute. I had never heard of that. Thank you for telling us about that. I'll have to put it in the comments maybe so that everyone knows where they can go to find it afterwards.
It's such a fun cookbook that they did together, but it's great for any of your Bravo fans, you know, friends. So I had seen him often just hanging out by himself. He was kind of manning her area. And so, you know, I just came up to him and I was like, hi, John. He was like, hi. So he was really nice. I think it really touched him that, you know, I didn't push him out of the way of the picture, that I actually wanted him in the picture with me. So.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah. Do you think that they live pretty close together in Newport Beach, like Shannon and John? Like, don't they live within a few miles of each other in that vicinity?
Yeah. So, you know, kind of the everyone, you know, this is kind of one of those things where hindsight is 2020. Obviously, we all wish she would have chosen not to drive drunk.
Right.
With Archie, her beloved dog, for one thing, with her.
I know.
So somebody DM'd with Jeff Lewis, and he did DM her back and say, actually, the Archie is okay. He was not injured. So that was actually good news to hear.
That is really good news because there were a lot of people asking about that.
Well, especially once the video came out, we were like, there's no way that big dog did not just fly around everywhere. And so funny story, me, Jeff Lewis, and Shannon Beador all share the same March 24th Aries birthdays.
No way.
Yeah.
Are you serious? That is crazy.
Shannon is 59, Jeff Lewis is 53, and I turned 50 this year. So, but we have that in common. And we probably have some similar personality traits that are not always the best. But I really think at the base of it, I do think Shannon has a good heart. Obviously, I'm sure she feels terrible about this. I'm sure she's so humiliated. So I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying it can be true that she can make a horrible decision. And we can also feel terrible for what she's going through also, and hope that she gets help and that her life is forever better after this.
I completely agree with you. You know, we have to have a little bit of compassion for people that make mistakes, you know, regardless of age or circumstance or privilege, whatever it is. I know that Tamra went on her podcast because her and Teddy were really going hard over Shannon. And she said that she had seen Shannon. Well, I don't know. It was like via maybe a Zoom meeting, but they had a meeting the day afterwards about the Trace and Migos. And Shannon had not said anything to Tamra specific to the DUI. She only said like she'd had a bad couple of days. And then Tamra calls into her podcast to talk to Cynthia and Teddy Mellencamp. And she says, well, I don't even know if it's true right now. Is there a mug shot? And I just thought that was so rude of her to do because she was like drawing attention to it. Did you hear that podcast?
I do. And I think a lot of people kind of capitalize on these kinds of dramas. And I think that's a lot of the negativity that Kelly Dodd is getting with her. So Kelly Dodd, shout out, Lindsay. There you are.
Yes, I got my light working.
I love it. You look amazing.
Thank you.
So I think there was a lot of I forgot what we were saying. There was a lot of stuff coming out about Shannon Beador and Kelly Dodd's recent feud. It's been going on about a year now, right at about a year. So Kelly Dodd had just made one of her famous like rants on Instagram stories. She really went at Shannon hard for the Watch What Happens Live episode. Remember a few weeks ago with the three of them?
Yes, I do. I'd forgotten, but now you're reminding me. Remind the audience though, in case they didn't know.
Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, the Tres Amigas, Vicky Gumbelson, Tamra Judge, and Shannon Beador were on Watch What Happens Live. They played a fun game. So it's not like Shannon said outright, you know, I can't stand Kelly Dodd or something. But one of the questions was if you could ban someone from coming to your Tres Amigas show, and her name was one of them, was Kelly Dodd. And she said yes. So Kelly Dodd made an Instagram story, kind of went at her hard. Well, then that Friday, Kelly Dodd and Rick Leventhal were on Jeff Lewis Live. They're all friends. So see how all of the like Jeff Lewis and the OC girls, the New Jersey girls, I mean, a lot of them are intermingled with their friendships.
Yes, they are. Absolutely. I try to tell my subscribers that all the time. I'm like, listen, they all are in contact with each other. Don't let them fool you.
Yeah, it's not for show. Jeff Lewis is legitimately friends with Shannon Beador. Really, really good friends. She, in fact, called him Sunday afternoon and told him everything that happened. He knew everything. She did not choose to tell Tamra, as far as we know.
Yeah, I know.
That says a lot. And she didn't choose. So he basically asked Kelly Dodd, hey, why don't you just make amends, contact her? So she contacted her, Shannon. Shannon said, yes, let's have lunch next week, which would have been this week.
Of course.
So clearly the arrest, the DUI changed all of that. Kelly Dodd they made an emergency Patreon. They've been talking about it on their show. She brought her food over, but she also came over unannounced the other night.
I saw that reality blur, but what did they
say
about
it? With her friend Asia. Asia's also said, hey, I want to talk to her. I have had a DWI experience. I don't know when. I just want to comfort her and give her some information. So they come up unannounced, knock on the door, and then John Jansen comes to the door and basically says, yeah, she's not going to come to the door. Her face is all messed up. She might need plastic surgery. Vicky Gumbelson and her boyfriend, Mike, who is all intermingled because Vicky and Kelly are really good friends right now. They used to not be, remember?
Uh-huh.
Kelly Dodd is the one who introduced Vicky to her now boyfriend, Mike.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I do remember Kelly saying that. Yes. Wow. That is so
Kelly
crazy.
said, I think on today's Rick and Kelly show, I'm disappointed that maybe yesterday that they didn't come to the door, that at least Vicky didn't. I'm kind of wondering if they were worried that she would get on her cell phone though and start videoing and posting. Like,
yeah, I don't know, because I had heard rumors like the night before or something that Kelly was out with her friend and they were like in an Uber and they were jokingly like, no one's getting a DUI tonight. Ha ha ha. Yeah. And I was like, oh, Kelly drinks, she has fun with stuff, like, so a little too early, maybe it was just a little early for that. So sometimes I wonder, like you said, do they think that it's going to be propaganda or like content for the Rick and Kelly show? When is it not content and when is it content? Because we see like a lot of natural like life content of Kelly and Rick with Vicky and her boyfriend, like riding their bikes and going out to dinner. So like at what point is it content and is, you know what I mean? Like if you and I are going out to dinner and we're like having fun, do I expect everything we did at dinner to be on your podcast?
Right. Well, and I think the difference is, Lindsay, also Shannon and Kelly have not yet made up. All they had agreed to at this point was a lunch. And that's not going to happen now because of clearly everything that Shannon's going through. So for Kelly to show up unannounced with all of this drama going on, also knowing they're not back to friends yet. Like they just had this Instagram live rant. Shannon was just on Watch What Happens Live saying that she would ban Kelly Dodd from her show. I mean, it's not all hunky-dory yet, as Kathy Hilton would say, right?
And I was like, who sold the story to Reality Blurb?
Well, and a lot of that information, that the details that were in there, I kept telling everyone, look, Kelly and Rick's Patreon has a lot of really good details. Did I think Shannon was going to love that information? Hell to the no, because, it was content, it was details she probably didn't want out there yet. But it's a fine line that we have, right? with trying to know really good information and yet not sell it out when it's really behind a paywall, because really Patreon is, you know, their bread and butter. And, you know, you don't want to be disrespectful of that. Right. But I think I do a good job of like giving some hints to some really good information and then sending people to their Patreon. Hey, if you want to know more about this, you're going to learn about this. Go to Rick and Kelly's Patreon. And I think they got hundreds of new subscribers. Rick even admitted like 400, maybe more.
He did say that they had a huge increase. Well, I hope they give you a shout out for that, because I always appreciate, like, when you're a big contenter, like, I'm not even a big contenter, but like to someone who has 2,000 followers, if I share their stuff, they're like, thank you. I'm like, yeah, no, like I want to like encourage other people. Like there's enough room for everyone. So absolutely. I did hear Rick say that though, because I don't listen that often, but because of everything that was going on, right. I was like, let me hear what Rick and Kelly have to say, because I didn't know Shannon and Kelly had made up because I wasn't up to speed. So wow, that is so crazy. What is Jeff's husband? What is he, a cook? Is that what he does? Jeff's husband, Stu?
Yeah, so Chef Stu is a chef. He's so cute. Oh my gosh, he is so nice. And I will be flying out to LA on September 30th because Chef Stu and Amy Phillips. So this is what he looks like. He's Irish, so he has an accent. He's just as nice as can be. He's so dreamy. Chef Stuart O'Keefe, I adore him. But him and Amy Phillips, who wrote this book together, she does a lot of Housewives impersonation. She was the host of reality. Oh my gosh, what was it called? Reality. It was on Radio Andy. Now they've got all these other hosts, but she was the host of that. Now she has a Patreon called Drama Darling for Amy Phillips. But he is a chef, and they met because he was a guest on her show promoting this book.
Oh my gosh, really?
So a few months later, Jeff breaks up. He and his boyfriend, Scott Anderson, break up. And literally about 12 hours later, because this is so Jeff Lewis, right? Like in one relationship, and he's got a foot in another one. And now they've been on and off for about 19, 20 months, because there's a lot of pauses. There's a lot of drama. If everyone remembers Jeff Lewis from the Bravo show Flipping Out, he's not changed much. I mean, God bless him. I run fan accounts called Jeff Lewis Obsessed. I'm clearly obsessed with him. I adore everything about him. But I mean, he's not perfect. Are we? Right. Are any of us?
Right, exactly. No, you do a really great job of representing him, honestly, because I find Jeff to be humorous as well. But like some people, I feel like are one way or the other. Yeah. He was recently on not recently, but he was on Watch What Happens Live with Bethany Frankel right before all of this craziness transpired. And usually the last couple of times we've seen Jeff with Andy, it's looked a little like we don't know, are they getting along? Are they not getting along? But when Bethany was on stage, like he was sort of just playing like backup, but he was killing it. Like he was killing it, just leading them right on in, he did a great job. For sure.
So funny story. I happened to be in New York at the time that was airing. And my girlfriend, Annette, said, hey, I've got a connection. If you can fly in a day earlier, we can be in the audience of Bethany Frankel and Jeff Lewis.
So did you make it?
Absolutely. The video is all over my content. Of course I made it.
Awesome.
It was amazing. So I was putting up Instagram stories as it happened, because they basically give you the guidelines of what you can record and post and what you cannot. So I was following all their rules. There was no drama between Bethany Frankel and Jeff Lewis during the commercials or before it. Even one time she brought out her daughter, Bryn, and Bryn sat on her lap with Jeff Lewis right there. Now, what came out a day later was that Bethany felt like she was attacked and like he was kind of mean, and her daughter felt uncomfortable, and like her assistant thought that they were really mean to her. And I'm like, you are making drama where there was none. There was no drama that night.
None? What is the audience size in a Watch What Happens Live session? Is it a big audience? I've heard it's pretty small these days. Is it small or big, or what would you say?
It's always been really small. So a girlfriend of mine got invited because she kind of knows people about a year or two ago. It is near impossible. How my friend got us 4 tickets, 4 seats. There was maybe about 18, maybe 20. And 3 of the people in front of me were Megan Weaver, the best friend of Jeff Lewis, Doug Buden, another chump, and of course his beautiful assistant Shane Douglas. They were
Oh,
all right in front of us. And then there was maybe 17, and then there was somebody that worked there's mom was there. I mean, it was very small. I videoed all of it. I think there's a highlight on my Instagram. The highlights on your Instagram at Jeff Lewis Obsessed. I think there's one for that Watch What Happens Live. So check it out.
my next question would be, did you get to sit in on one show, several shows? Did Andy film back to back, or did you get to see any of that?
Good question. So this show was actually one of their now rare. Remember when Watch What Happens Live started, they were all live. Yeah. Well, I think now it's gotten so big, and Andy has 2 kids and he does a lot of other stuff. So some stuff they just have to nail some down and record them, pre-record. So I'm sorry, I take that back. Bethany and Jeff was not live. I was there on a Monday night and it aired on Wednesday. So I apologize for that. It was not live.
Got you. Okay.
I'm thinking because he was recently on Watch What Happens Live again with Heather McDonald, who is now not his friend.
What happened? Why did they, can you take us back to the beginning? What happened? Because I saw Heather outside of Craig's, yes. And there is a up and coming, he's like a freelance TikToker who goes live from LA. Craig,
Joy of Everything.
Yes, Joy of Everything. I love him. He's so nice. And God bless his heart, he sees Heather outside of Craig's, and people in the comments are telling him, ask her about Jeff Lewis. So he's like, hey, Heather, what do you know about Jeff Lewis? And she's like, I don't know him. And he believes it because he doesn't realize what happened.
So I've been covering all of that drama on TikTok and on Insta and on YouTube. There's playlists. So there's ones on there called Heather McDonald. So there's where all of my videos are. That'll catch everyone up on it. Instagram, they don't make it as easy to make playlists. So you just kind of have to dig around on my grid. So they've been friends for about 30 years. They went to USC together. They weren't that close in college. But over the years, they're one of those friendships of yeah, we've known each other 30 years, but we're not the closest. We don't vacation together. But she's definitely was on his show probably every 2 to 3 months. I mean, she's huge in the juicy, she's got this huge podcast. She does live events. I saw her live at BravoCon last year in New York City. She was great. And I'm saying all this that she's blocked me. So I'm very nice about Heather McDonald, but I am currently blocked by her. But anyways, whatever.
You're not doing your job if you're not blocked by somebody, okay?
Oh, I'm blocked by so many. I'm doing such a good job then. Lisa Rinna, Tom Sandoval, Ariana. Of course, 2 of Jeff's ex-boyfriends, Gage and Scott. I mean, so many people blocked me. Anyways, so they had a falling out basically because he doesn't think she's a loyal friend. He feels like she maybe uses people. So he really got upset that she lied about something about these earrings that she had borrowed from their mutual friend, who is also no longer friends with Heather, Krista Lamas. So Jeff really came at it as if you're not loyal, and you also lost this one earring. You see the video. This is a video where they were in St. Bart's, and she was dancing on a table in the sand. Kelly Dodd was there. This is the same trip that Teresa Giudice happened to be on.
Yes.
Lots of content there. But one of the videos, you see the earring just slowly drop off. So the thing is, she didn't realize that she lost the earring at that point. Heather McDonald goes on Juicy Scoop or does a Patreon and says, absolutely, I realized I lost it the next day. I called the manager. I went back and I dug around in the sand. They all say that's a lie. Kelly Dodd came on and said she didn't. She refused to take the time to drive 10 more minutes back to the restaurant and look for the earring. So they were actual diamond and gold earrings of Krista Lamas's that she had borrowed a couple of months earlier and had never returned. Then she wasn't answering Krista Lamas's messages to be like, hey, when are you going to return those? So it was a lot. Justin Martindale, the great podcast. I love him. He's got a podcast called Just Saying with Justin Martindale. He's was really good friends with Heather. So it really started there on August 22nd when Justin Martindale was on Andy Cohen Live, or with John. What's Andy Cohen Live's? John Hill.
Yes.
So it really started then, and it's kind of come out from there, but they are definitely not friends. On today's Juicy Scoop, about 4 to 5 minutes into it, Brandy and Julie, who used to work at SiriusXM and be really good friends with Jeff Lewis, they're on the outs with him too right now. So, but they were all kind of making digs and joking about like prison life and like kind of making these innuendos that it was like Jeff Lewis and SiriusXM. It's actually kind of funny. So they're all making digs at each other. Jeff still makes digs at Heather too.
My question is, I was like scrolling TikTok in the middle of the night, and I swear to God, like I get so mad because I find the best content at like 2:00 in the morning, and I forget if I don't save it. And I came across the video. I felt like it was Justin, and he was talking about like Heather was talking poorly about him, like coming on a show or something like along those lines. Does that sound familiar? Did that happen? Okay.
So it might have been mine. I screen recorded the audio because of John Hill, of him explaining that, we're just taking a break from each other. You know, I'm not going to be doing her live show. I'm not going to be doing Juicy Scoop right now. It was just too much like grown woman drama or something like that. Then as more things came out, the story kind of kept unfolding. So now where it stands, Heather McDonald is no longer friends with Jeff. Krista Lamas is no longer friends with Heather McDonald. Justin Martindale is now going to come on, because one of the things that was the lie that Jeff said that Heather said was that she never said that she didn't want Justin Martindale invited on his show. And Jeff said, you absolutely called me and said that. So that's a lie. And I'm only bringing this up because I don't want this lie out there.
Yeah. I also heard like Heather McDonald, because Deb brought it up. There was like a show she did where she was like, I don't know if it was genuine, because sometimes I feel like Heather has a little bit of like a snicker at the very last. Like, I'm not talking poorly. Like, I just can read people, you know, like when she was talking about Shannon's DUI, I felt like on the inside there was like a little bit of her that was like doing like somersaults and butterflies. And so but she was talking about Megan Weaver, and she was like saying that she was so hurt and she was so upset because here Megan had been talking poorly about her behind her back. And was she talking bad to Kelly Dodd about her, or just in general? Like, who told Heather that Megan Weaver was talking so bad about her? Do you know?
That's a whole other drama. So I also have a playlist that I think it's called Megan and Heather. So this started, I think, around March. There was a lot of people at Kelly Dodd's Palm Desert house.
Okay.
And there was some drinking, maybe some allegations of some chocolate mushrooms. I don't really know how that even affects people, but there was definitely some alcohol involved. And Megan tells Heather, look, I don't really like you, and a lot of the chumps don't like you. And Heather was flabbergasted. Clearly, you know, she's got kind of a shtick. You know, she kind of leans into the whole, you know, I'm kind of thirsty. You know, I'm here to be with celebrities. I do celebrity gossip. She plays into that. I respect that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a part of us women that clearly have a seventh grader inside of us where we just want everyone to like us.
Right. Of course.
And so when Megan tells her, look, I don't really like you, and a lot of the chumps don't like you either. So if you don't know, the chumps are what Jeff Lewis calls like his inner circle friends. So basically that was such a blow to Heather. But this is where Jeff kind of didn't love it. Instead of like contacting Megan or, you know, kind of working it out, she posts a Patreon the next day, you know, giving all the content away and like this inner whatever. But even Jeff Lewis, Kelly Dodd got involved. They all agree, look, we profit off of sharing our personal lives, and drama, as you know, Lindsay, drama is always going to bring in the audience.
Yes.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So at some points, various stages, Kelly Dodd said she shouldn't have sold out Megan and done the Patreon. Jeff Lewis said she shouldn't have talked about it on her show. She should have worked it out. And then they've each said, admittedly, we'd have done the same damn thing. So,
jeez,
that's a whole other drama that has gone on for months. It seems like there's a lot of catfighting going on between all the
I mean, that's why I try to explain to people. I'm like that's the area that they live in. Like that's like their society down there in Orange County. Like it's big, but it's not at the same time. Like it's really not, and that's why I feel like they try to hold on to like their status a little bit because like Shannon, she likes to have her +1, and Vicky likes to have like that's their life down there. They're retired. They go to beautiful restaurants and they drink and they eat and they, it's probably paradise, really. I mean, we could only be so lucky. Like,
it's so beautiful. Some Jeff Lewis friends and I met there. We rented a house. I knew exactly when she talked about, when we heard the news before the video came out, that she hit the front of a house. I started remembering the place that we rented in January of this year. I flew out to California to stay at this house that we rented in Newport Beach and to attend Fortune Feimster's comedy show in Irvine. And so I remembered how there's really no front yards. Like it's kind of, now we see the video and it's just horrific. Okay. So there's nothing we can say about that. But I kind of had this idea of how easy it could be. Like Newport is not necessarily the suburbs where you have like a big, deep front yard.
Yes. You're right. Exactly. It's like very, like, it's kind of like, I mean, I don't know, like canyon-y, but like that's how it was when we were like in Malibu with deep canyons and like not a lot of yard. And the video is terrifying. And I think that's another thing that gives people red flags because it's clear she's not driving to the store. Like she wouldn't be, it's not like she's like, oh, I'm drunk, but I'm so hungry right now that I'm gonna like drive down the street to the convenience store with my dog. Like, I don't know. That just is so sketchy to me. It makes me feel like they were fighting and it was a bad situation. And I feel like John coming to the door, like crying, and this like was in Reality Blur. Maybe he sold it to Reality Blur. But I don't know. I mean, like, it just seems like he's playing offense already to me. Like, I don't know.
On that note, Lindsay, what did you think about the Daily Mail article came out where he gave an actual interview and they asked him, were y'all fighting? And he said, no comment. What does no comment mean? It means yes. It means yes.
Wow.
He said no comment. He said, were y'all fighting Saturday night? He said no comment. So now some of the facts are coming out. We know that she was at a restaurant with some mutual friends of Kelly Dodd's, actually. So Kelly Dodd probably has some insight there. Stories are coming out that she was drunk. She had seen Alexis Bellino there. She was saying she wanted to beat her up or fight her or something really stupid like that. Then we also know that John Jansen was at the Quiet Woman out either by himself or I think with one other male friend. So somehow they got back together the night before, they're happily out at Nobu, I think, with Jeff Lewis and his boyfriend Stu and Taylor Armstrong. Everything was fine. If only she had taken Jeff's invitation to come up to West Hollywood and go out for Chef Stu's birthday again, maybe none of this would have ever happened.
Now, do you think, I mean, that's important to note, guys, too. Like she's saying, like, Shannon can be out with the girls at one restaurant and across town, John is out with a couple of like, that's how small Newport is. Everyone knows where everyone's at on Saturday night and Friday night and what restaurants. Do you think that they like take magic mushrooms and like the extracurricular activities like on the regular, like they consume alcohol, or do you think it's more like occasional?
I don't know. I don't really hear much about any other, allegations going on. I seem to hear a lot of talk and, when they're on this whole reality reckoning thing that Bethany Frankel has going, let's face it, there's definitely some honesty to this. They definitely feed all of these reality people lots of alcohol. Yeah. They encourage that drama. It's 2023. Reality TV has been around since, when was MTV's? MTV was the original creator of it. I mean, Real World, the Osbournes.
Yes.
The like Real World was 90s. First. Yeah. But by 2023, everyone knows the success. Drama. Well, what makes you feel more comfortable having drama? Getting some drinks in you, right? Production is always happy to provide the alcohol. Free flowing alcohol.
I know, and it's like now we're seeing some housewives. For instance, there's one that's not drinking, Real Housewives of New York. She was a new castmate. She came on the show. She had 9 years sober. I can Why can't I think I'm so bad with
Uba?
names.
Is
It,
Uba sober?
no, it wasn't. It's from old Real Housewives of New York. She was the one that they brought on last as the new girl, with the blonde hair, the long blonde hair, and she was on the Real Housewives Ultimate
Leah
Girl.
McSweeney.
Thank you, Leah
Yeah.
McSweeney. She had 9 years with no alcohol before she joined the cast of the Real Housewives in New York, and she drank the first year. Now she's sober again. But when she went on the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, one of the first things Heather Gray said to her was, "Let's get Leah drunk." And she was like, "Wait, didn't you just say you read my book and you knew that I suffered with alcoholism and I'm sober, and now you want me to get drunk?" And we see Gina, she's sober. I mean, she said she eats like edibles or what,
Yeah.
she's like California sober
Yeah.
or whatever. But I was just curious because we hear accusations about that sometimes, like with Bronwyn Burke and her allegedly like kind
Right.
of talking to
Yeah.
Shannon's daughter about scoring like some party favors. And so I was like, I just wonder if it's as like normal, because we do hear California, like those sort of things are a little bit more acceptable than they are in our neck of the woods. I just didn't know what your thoughts were on that.
I
So.
don't know. I just think alcohol is a lot of times they're at restaurants. So clearly they're not doing, harder stuff at a restaurant. But I think alcohol can really impair your decision making. It makes everyone a little more free. And by now we know the success is drama. And so I think everyone knows how to play things up or not. But clearly the Shannon Beador DUI was not drama for a TV show. Sadly, that flowed into her real life, and that could have been devastating for so many.
Yeah, and that's what it's important to realize. Like, you can be so sorry all day, but like the natural law of land or God or whatever you want to say is like you have consequences for your actions, and it doesn't matter how sorry you are, it doesn't take them back. So that's like a really important thing to remember. Like, you can genuinely be very sorry, but it does not change the outcome of a situation like that. So I feel bad, but I also want to see her take some responsibility because she did leave the scene, which is like the worst. Don't ever leave the scene, guys. Like, don't do that. That's so bad to leave the scene like that. And she probably could have gotten a lot worse trouble, but thank God it is Newport Beach. It's a smaller area, and she, has lived there for a long time. So
Yeah.
hopefully they were respectful to her. And we know that she has 3 daughters and two. How many are off to college? Did all 3 go off now? Did the twins leave?
So the oldest one, Stella, actually goes to college here in Texas, a couple of hours from me at Baylor University. The 2 twins, of course, Adeline and
I know, I can't remember the other one. I
whatever
remember
their names are. One is going to USC, so she would have been in town, but she's actually studying abroad. I think she's in Paris, maybe. The other one is at Parsons in New York City. So none of them are there with her. I don't know if she flew them home for the weekend. I have no idea. But that's where, like you said earlier, we can all have compassion. No matter the terrible, horrific decision she made, it was a mistake. It was an accident. She never intended for this to happen. Is it horrific? Absolutely. But I feel compassion as a mom, and I know you've got a daughter. I've got 4 daughters and 1 son. As a mom, we all feel compassion for her that she doesn't have her girls around with her. And then she's apparently still with John because we've seen the video of her going into his house or some apartment or something.
I know. And I like work in the mental health like field now, but I know women that have like killed somebody drinking and driving, and like it is traumatic experience for both families because both people are affected, and we already know that. But it's like a sad situation, and I feel bad. I hope that, because I'm sure that like just like how other people are affected, like when there's a death, like her kids are embarrassed, they're unsure, they're upset. they're reading headlines. They don't know what to think. I mean, I feel worse for her daughters because they also feel like they probably have a sense of responsibility to make sure that their mom's taken care of and that her mental health is good. And that it comes a point where like you're taking care of when you have when you have someone that may or may not struggle with alcohol or drugs, the child becomes the parent. Like the roles sort of switch, and so that can be like a lot for them. So Heather did say though, like in her video, she said like this might be, and it could be one of the best things that happens to Shannon because it could improve her quality of life. It could help show a healing journey and give hope to other women who could be not necessarily an alcoholic but lean on alcohol. We know we just saw Kyle Richards. She celebrated over a year free of being from alcohol. So it's happening more and more, especially people on antidepressants and medications. Like you said, one drink can affect somebody so different. If you're on any sort of mental health med like that, it can just affect you. So I think that's why it's so serious. But I really think that in relationships where you both like to drink, like John doesn't necessarily want Shannon to not stop drinking, but if she stops drinking, then that means he has to pull back because he can't be drinking a ton. So then you start to have like a problem in your relationship because then you have two different things that you enjoy doing, right?
Yeah.
So
and I think that has happened. So what do you think, Lindsay? What do you expect next season to be like? Do you feel like Shannon will even be on the show? Do you feel like she'll stop drinking? Do you feel like
I think that she'll stop drinking. I've seen people calling on Andy and other people that are, there's a lot of women in the Bravo community that are sober and people don't even realize it. They'll comment that it's been 20 years for them and they haven't drank. So they're calling on Andy Cohen to sort of hold her accountable, I guess. Like want to see her get treatment, and they feel like over the years on the show that her drinking has choose like to be problematic. But I think it's like coming from a good place. But I think that she has an opportunity to like really I think that Bravo will absolutely be there. I think they'll be there with a contract, probably paying her more money. Like, please show us everything because she'll have to go to court she's gonna have to go to court. She's gonna have to make a plea deal. She's gonna I don't know, they might give her probation, they might not. They may make her complete a like alcohol program like we saw Luann on the Real Housewives of New York do. And we also saw her struggle years after when she was on probation trying not to drink while she was filming because she had a probation officer and they were you were the greatest, guys. See, if I had to have her on the show, seriously, like she knows everything. Make sure you guys go follow her, Jeff Lewis Obsessed. She's amazing, and you guys would all love her.
I'm like you. I love going to Bravo celebrity shows. So this was one that I flew out with some girlfriends from Houston. We went to see her cabaret show in New York City.
I'm going Friday.
They were passing these candles out like candy for free. So that's why I have that. So I didn't buy that. Anytime you put yourself on a picture of a candle all religious looking like this, there's a lot of, but this is hers. She sold it. She was selling those at BravoCon too for like $20, but they gave me this for free at that show.
Wow. I'm going to see her Friday. And funny story, her mugshot is like on a t-shirt that you can buy. And my friend Jenny from Bravo and Blaze has one. She lives in New York City. She was wearing it. And this guy who I happen to meet at BravoCon, who is a stylist for like Candy Burrows and all them on Married to Medicine, he stopped her on the street because he was like, I know Luann, like I style them. And then I ended up meeting him like a year later at BravoCon Eve when we were all up at the Gansevoort. So crazy how that it was like her mugshot was like people in New York were like stopping each other because they were wearing her mugshot as a t-shirt.
Yeah. Small world. I was at the Gansevoort rooftop hotel the night before BravoCon 2 when Jeff Lewis had his mini BravoCon. I was there.
We were at Caroline's for Jeff Gorga's stand-up, and we came back over, and they didn't want to let anyone else up because it was like 10 o'clock at night. So when I got up there, it had cleared out a little bit. There wasn't as many people, but I went to the bathroom, and out the other stall came Whitney from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was every Bravo celebrity was at that party. How did you get it in there?
It was crazy. So Jeff Lewis had been promoting. He was like, he was not invited to BravoCon last year. This year, he's going to be at Friday's BravoCon. So I think he's doing a panel or something. He hasn't said those details, but he's definitely going to be at Friday's BravoCon. But last year, he wasn't officially invited. So he just kind of went and did his live shows, Jeff Lewis Live, and he had Bravo celebrities come on his show. But he hosted them, and he was very clear. He wasn't saying where. He wasn't saying what time. Well, MJ, Mercedes Javid, has a podcast with her husband called Till the Dirt. I was listening to that on Monday. She was talking about how BravoCon was for her in 2019. And then she was going to be there at 2022. And she said, by the way, y'all, everyone is booked up at the Gansevoort Hotel, the Meatpacking District location. So if you want to see Bravo celebrities, if you want to run into them, just book the rooftop and you will see people. So there was 4 of us. My friend called that morning and got us a 4-person reservation for the rooftop hotel. 2 of them got caught in the rain. Remember how much it was raining that night?
Yes.
You cannot have rain in Manhattan. I mean, the city shuts down. No Ubers, nothing. So 2 of our girlfriends got caught in the rain. They were at the hotel having no idea. None of us had an idea that we were going to sit 10 feet from Jeff Lewis walking in with Megan, Shane, Alyssa, Kian, Chef Stu. And then all of these Bravo celebrities started coming over to him because that's where he was hosting it, in the public at this rooftop bar.
But that's the thing. It wasn't really public because they were letting public people into the hotel. Right. I happened to find out because I sat next to Anthony, the pool boy from New Jersey, and he texted Melissa and was like, "Where are you guys going?" So I kind of went over like I was part of that posse, just kind of goes the flow because they weren't letting people up there. But when I say every Bravo celebrity, and it wasn't I felt uncomfortable asking for pictures because it was clearly in an environment of just Bravo celebrities and their families and stylists. That's it, right? When you were there,
yeah, I mean, so Ryan Bailey was there, so he was sitting in a corner by himself, and then my friend and I were sitting here having hummus and some appetizers, and so we had no idea that Jeff Lewis and them were going to walk in, but we had no problem asking for pictures with them because Chef Stu, knows us. Jeff Lewis knows of me. I've met them all multiple times before. So Chef Stu came over and chatted with us for a little bit. I went over and said hi to Alyssa. I said hi to Kian, who's his social media manager, who makes these amazing videos for Jeff Lewis. And then I took a picture with Shannon Beador. I took a picture with Vicky Gumbelson. And then we were leaving, and I think I took a picture with Madison LaCroix. And then as we left, Margaret Josephs came in with Jackie. And we took a picture with them.
That's right when I was getting there because Margaret wasn't there for very long. She came in and Meredith Marks was there, but I was on the other side of the bar with Don Juan, who is Candy Burroughs' assistant. He's been her long time. He's been on the show and all that. And they were they got there, it kind of died down. And I think because BravoCon was the next day, it was just kind of filtering. And Dr. Contessa from Married to Medicine, her husband and her stylist, he was super nice. So chatted with them, and Whitney and her husband, he looked uncomfortable though. He didn't want to be there. And Cynthia Bailey, I met her, but she had just announced her divorce. From Mike Hill, and I asked her for a picture, and she I know she didn't want to, but she was just don't have me looking crazy. And I was and I said something, but I made her laugh, so I was so happy because I was here's my picture of me making Cynthia Bailey laugh. I'm so proud of myself.
You probably needed that so much. That was right when BravoCon was happening.
Yeah. Yes, and she's gorgeous in person. Oh my God, Cynthia Bailey's gorgeous in person. She's taller than I am. I'm 5'10". And then I saw Dr. Nicole Martin, but she was dressed in a little tiny, she's from Miami, so she didn't realize how cold it was going to be, but she was lovely too. So everyone was super nice, but it was fun to be part of the, the nobody, the elite crew up there where there wasn't anyone, no other fans, I guess. I didn't have any business cards with me or nothing. I was I don't
Yeah.
even know what to do right now. I did not expect this.
It was so fun. It was just like being a fly on the wall, just kind of sitting back, seeing them like interact and stuff. So it was super fun.
Are you
I
going
loved.
to
Are you going to be at BravoCon
You're
2023?
I don't know yet because I'm going to see Teresa live October 5th. So that's like a month before BravoCon. And BravoCon's also like the weekend before that big car race in Vegas.
Yeah.
I don't know yet because honestly tickets are like $1,300, which that's a lot to me. I mean, I told people, I was like, if I had the money and I was like single and I didn't have to worry about none of that, like I would just go to Vegas for the weekend and run into them. Like I'm a private investigator. Like I'll find you. I'll sit outside Caesars. Like it's not a problem. I have all day. Like I feel like you might have an opportunity to like have a more intimate run-in with a Bravo celebrity if you are like someone like us, you know what I mean? Versus if you like go sit in the audience, like of course that's fun, but if you didn't have the extra 1,300 and you were close to Vegas, I would just go and see who I could see because I'm sure that they're going to be out and about at Drea's and different nightclubs.
I mean, I'm hearing about a lot of people that already had booked their flight and already booked their hotel like I had before the tickets went on sale. I was one of the lucky ones. I got VIP 3-day pass. I also got some of the add-ons eventually, and I've also got a Heather McDonald live show ticket. I hope her juicy scoopers don't boo me. I mean, I don't hate Heather McDonald at all. It is awkward. We had a great DM relationship, and then she blocked me over Labor Day, and I'm like, oh, that's so weird. Well, then I couldn't communicate with her. Then all of a sudden she unblocked me because I could see her stuff, or maybe she DM'd me or she commented on one of my videos. And I'm like, well, that's weird. I guess she's in it. And then she blocked me again. So, when someone is feuding with someone and you run an account called Jeff Lewis Obsessed and she's feuding with Jeff Lewis, but why block? Just don't follow, because she was following me. Not only she blocked me, she was actually following me. And I'm like, why are you blocking me now?
That's so funny. How long have you been doing this? How long have you had the Jeff Lewis Obsessed? Like what started you and how long have you been doing it?
So last summer, 2022, I was teaching for 5 years. So I have 5 kids. I've been a full-time mom, stay-at-home mom, most of our marriage. And all of a sudden when the baby hit first grade, I was like, I'm bored. This is so boring. And
5 kids and you're bored?
Well, when they all went to school. I'm a very energetic person, if you can't tell.
Still though, but okay, continue.
So I got my teaching certification because my degree was from 1995, my college degree. And so I taught elementary for 5 years. Well, then I stopped. So I really had Sirius XM for Howard Stern. And I could only listen to that very limited because my kids were in the car usually. And I'm not going to play Howard Stern, right? So as my kids have gradually gotten older, I picked up Radio Andy, obsessed. I loved Jeff Lewis Live from the get-go. I'd remembered him from flipping out on Bravo, but I really was so into the TLC shows, the Kardashians, and all the Bravo shows. I really didn't have time when my kids were that little, when flipping out was live. I didn't make the time to watch it. I only watched season 10 when his now almost 7-year-old daughter, Monroe, was born.
Wow.
So
okay.
a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I got obsessed with Jeff Lewis Live and very quickly went out to LA for a live show, met some of the people, started making an account. And I had no idea about following celebrities on Instagram. Like this was so new to me. And then one day we went to I got invited to his premiere party for his Hollywood House Lift show. You talk about amazing. Jeff Lewis and all of his inner circle, close friends, his family were so insanely nice to me and my friends.
Oh, I love that.
Crazy. It was so nice. So over the year and a half, I've met them multiple times at live shows and different things, and called into the radio show with Sarah in Texas because I am Sarah in Texas. And so now it's just super fun. So then I started going live on Instagram. Now I go live on Instagram and YouTube at the same time, 5 days a week at 12 o'clock Pacific. And then the replays go up instantly. So it's just a fun time to it's kind of a recap of Jeff Lewis Live and a more of a fan chat about that day's show. But I also started off with all the latest reality TV gossip. And it's always related to Jeff Lewis because a lot of these people he's friends with.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. For sure. He's right in the mix of everything. And I love that. And I've always like had a love for listening to Jeff Lewis. I don't know why, there's something about him. So I've
Yeah.
been like following you this whole time. And I'm like, she is like growing. And I was like, I need to invite her on my show. So I'm so glad that you were able to come on. I feel bad I took up a whole hour of your time, but it was really great talking to you. Everyone, great comments. Make sure that they're going to follow you. Everyone making great comments. So we appreciate you so much for coming on and answering all of our.
Absolutely. And I adore your content.
Oh,
I know
thank
we have a
you.
little bit different views on New Jersey and some of our favorites, but that's okay. I adore you, Lindsay, and I love your
Same.
content that you post.
Same. And we'll have to debate the Jersey on another day because we took up an hour just with Jeff Lewis and Orange County. So I would love to have you on like once a month to just come on and recap with us and let us know what's been going on. So we'll have to talk about that and plan
I would
something.
be thrilled to do it. And I hope you can come on my Instagram live one day soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Are your Instagram live people nice? I get scared of Instagram. I'm like, whoo, I'm scared to go on.
So we call our community chumpettes. So
Mm.
Pina, one of my favorite chumpettes, came up with that nickname. So Jeff Lewis and his close friends are chumps,
Yes.
and we are chumpettes. So we love reality TV. We love Jeff Lewis live. I have a very nice, kind, respectful Jeff Lewis obsessed Facebook group. So join that if you have ever dipped your toes in some of the very crazy Jeff Lewis obsessed or Jeff Lewis Facebook fan groups. They can be a little bit mean. So mine is like a nice, kind, respectful one. So no, my comments are so nice. We're such a great safe place to like chat all reality TV. And of course they're all Bravo fans. So you're going to fit right in, Lindsay.
I love that. That's so awesome. Like, I love bringing people together and having a community. I say that all the time. Like, everyone is welcome on my page as long as you can convey it respectfully. Like, we can't all love the same people. So it's great for people to see us getting along as like bloggers and creators and not fighting and keeping like the negativity going. So it's so nice. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I'm sorry that like I didn't have huge numbers, but normally I'm on during the day, so they were probably surprised and like thinking I'm up late coming on live.
They're like, what is she? She's drunk going on YouTube live or something.
Right. Like she's getting crazy. It's 8:00 at night.
Well, I adore you, Lindsay, and I look forward to chatting a lot more about all of our love of Jeff Lewis and all the Bravo stuff.
Yes, and make sure you guys go follow her. She has a YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all of the platforms. Go just look her up now, give her a follow so you can keep up to date with her content, and we'll chat soon.
I adore you, Lindsay.
You too. Bye. Have a great night, guys.